From the Corner Office is brought to you by Synovus Bank, championing business growth through trusted relationship-driven banking throughout the Gulf Coast region. With a degree from Georgia Tech in engineering and plans, at first, to go to law school, Kelly Caldwell, on paper at least, isn't the prototypical trust company officer. But in many ways, it would be hard to imagine Kelly, who has helped grow Caldwell Trust Company into one of the largest trust management firms in Florida, doing anything else. He's a dedicated and focused CEO, a servant leader who lives by the principle of hiring smart people and then getting out of their way. The Business Observer covers and writes regularly about financial services companies like Caldwell Trust. For more, subscribe. Go to businessobserverfl.com. Hello and welcome to the Business Observer's From the Corner Office podcast. I'm Mark Gordon, managing editor of the Business Observer. Today's guest is Kelly Caldwell, president and CEO of Caldwell Trust Company in Sarasota. Kelly, welcome and thanks for being here.
Mark, thanks for having us. It's a great honor. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Kelly, you and I have known each other for quite some time. I want to say maybe 15 years, going back to when I first wrote about Caldwell Trust Company, and you guys have certainly grown a lot then. I know our friendship has grown as well, and we're going to get into the history and the context of Caldwell Trust Company in a minute. But before we do that, let's get our audience to know what kind of leader you are in terms of values, and we're going to play a game called This or That.
All right.
You ready? Kelly, this is what the young people play, right? So we're going to that we're young. For a few minutes. This or That leadership edition. So these are just kind of like 1-2 word answers to these questions. Sure. So this or that leadership, what's more important, vision or execution?
Vision, for sure.
Data or intuition?
Gotta have the data first. You can do intuition later, but data first.
Trust company guy, but your numbers guy, you gotta have the data. Consensus or decisiveness?
Decisiveness.
Interesting. But you're a consensus kind of leader though. So, but in the business, you're decisiveness.
No choice, but you can wait and wait and wait, but you're never going to have complete information. So at some point you got to make a decision.
In-person or remote work?
Oh, in person for sure.
Are you a coach or a challenger?
I think I'm more of a coach, but I'm not afraid to challenge. That's for sure.
Optimistic or realistic?
Optimistic for sure.
Love that. Speed or perfection?
Speed. Urgency.
Now, do you hire for skill or attitude?
Attitude.
Okay, I like it. We're going to get on to some questions here. Tell us about Caldwell Trust Company, Kelly. Obviously, your name is part of the business. Tell us, what's sort of the elevator pitch if you were talking to somebody new to Sarasota, never heard of Caldwell Trust Company. What do you tell them?
I just tell them we're a 30-some-year-old company, family owned, and all we do is take care of families in a complete way, financial, estate planning, everything that we do. We don't write documents, but we execute the documents that all of our clients have. But we're their financial quarterback. And we take care of families for generations, and it goes from one generation to the next. And so if clients are looking for that kind of continuity with the same people and not have the turnover of some of the big banks, we're their answer.
The financial quarterback, I like that. That's a really good way to get at it. How did you get into this field and specifically Caldwell Trust Company?
Well, I'm an electrical engineer from Georgia Tech, so I am a long way from there. So this has to be an accident, right? And it was. I had finished up engineering. I loved my engineering background and training. And I decided to do something in the late 80s. I said, well, I'll just go to law school. I'm not going to be an engineer. I'll go to law school. So I applied for law school. I deferred it 1 year. Then I came home and I actually asked my dad, so Dad, what exactly do you do? Because about 2 weeks from being home, I was bored. And I was planning on working construction or doing something really just physical. And I got bored and I said, so Dad, what exactly do you do? I
Yeah.
mean, I know what you do, but I don't know.
Right. It's like,
And
get into it.
yeah, so I started just helping out at the office. Um, and next thing you know, I'm enjoying the money management side. I'm enjoying the number side. I'm enjoying the people side. Um, uh, it just fell into place. And then about 4 years after I had started working with my dad, the big banks went through a wave of mergers and they kept buying out our clients. So we were independent and we worked for the local banks, but the banks kept getting bought out. So that's when a number of our clients and my dad, he had the vision. He's the one who said, well, why don't we just start our own trust company like anyone does, right? And so we did. And here we are 30 some years, 33 years later, and 2.5 billion almost in assets and great people, great clients, great staff. And, I'm asked all the time, well, what are you looking for in a client? And I go, this is not complicated. Have you ever had a bad client? I'm not looking for that. Have you had a good client? That's what we're looking for. So we have the best clients who want to be helped. We have people that want to help them and we allow them to help. Uh, and that's it. And then Kelly, get out of the way. Really.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into that leadership style in a second, but you mentioned, you have great clients. You also have built, and we've talked about this, Kelly, in Stories in the Business Observer, you built this great team of employees. And something you said to me the last time we spoke, I thought was really interesting that you spend about a third of your time recruiting talent, not necessarily for an open position, although you might have open positions, but you're just recruiting people who fit Caldwell Trust. Tell us about your mindset on bringing people to the team and how you spend your time looking for the best people.
Well, my aspiration is to be able to spend that much time doing it. I don't spend enough time, but the answer is yes, you have to spend that much time finding great people. And a lot of times it's timing. Timing is everything. And so you just talk to people, help them out, and at some point they something may click and they'll say, "I would like to make a change. Something's not working for me." And so that's can't be in a hurry, but you've got to be looking for people all the time. And you've got to be promoting the people inside and you've got to be growing those people inside. And quite frankly, it starts with I have to grow. I have to continue to grow as a leader, as a owner. Because if I stop growing, I think I just hurt everybody. So it's constant effort to try and get better. And I say this frequently inside the company, and so my staff are probably tired of hearing this, but this is the engineer in me. We got to be faster. We got to do it quicker. We got to do it better and cheaper. And so if it's not faster, quicker, cheaper, and better, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting, the engineer, and you're right. And you said too that Kelly, get out of the way. How have you evolved? You talk about learning as a leader. How have you evolved into being hands off and letting the good people you hire do the work that you hired them to do?
Now you're asking a very personal question
Yes.
because when you're a younger man, and I'm not a younger man anymore, but I remember being a younger man. You're really impatient and you just do, and you expect everything to be done at the same speed with the same urgency. And that's not the way the world works. And so I had to learn lessons. My dad was very good at teaching me these lessons um, about how to allow people to find the best in them and then allow them to learn how that works. So you have to let people make mistakes. As a CEO, I don't want to make bad mistakes, but you do have to let them take the training wheels off. And so if you're not willing to ever let people do their job, you micromanage. Well, you will never grow your company. And, my oldest, I have three boys. My oldest is 21. I have a 20-year-old, and I have a senior in high school who's almost 18. And I will tell you that when they were 5, 6, 7 years old, we made a very, very conscious effort to be able to say, we need to let this company run on its own without day-to-day management. I have to have people that will do the day-to-day management. I can't be everywhere. And that's really helped us grow. And I think that's me growing as a leader, is helped the company grow. And it also helped my staff uh, take more responsibility. And we're just way better off as a company because of it.
Yeah, and that's really interesting. I want to go back and talk about your dad because he had a big influence on your life. And even though I never met your dad, I feel like I have. I know I wrote a story about him when he passed away, and you and I have talked about him. I've
Yeah.
been to an event that honored him, and then you mentioned him in a book you wrote about the company. So I feel like I know Mr. Caldwell. Tell us about your dad and what you have learned from him.
Well, there's something I can say, that my dad was probably the best visionary person I've ever met. He sees things, he saw things before I would see them by a long shot. And when you're trying to work on problems and you're thinking about them, and I would walk into my dad's office and I would start to ask this question, and he would look at me and he would really annoy me because he would not tell me anything. He would ask me one very simple question where the answer was so blatantly obvious that it solved my problem. And I would look at him and I would just turn around and I'd leave. And it's not like he did it once. He did it over and over again. And I would be like, how did he know that? And so he never told me what to do. He always asked me, well, what would you do here? But he would explain it in a way that was, I don't know, father to son, made me feel like, okay, I should learn that. And I aspired to learn that trait from him. Um, he was always one of the best visionaries. He started Caldwell Trust Company. I am eternally grateful and humble to be learn from him. And he would have conversation with clients that I would have no idea where he's going. And in about 20, 30 minutes, they were like the best friends. He'd never met them before. And I'm sitting there going, how did that happen? Um, because he could connect with people. He was so interested in people and helping them out. That's what I learned most from him, is how to solve problems. Engineering help, the degree in engineering, but really how to solve problems and how to do it politely
Yeah,
with people.
that was his reputation in the community, was just this really big personality, but super nice. You would hear people, just a really kind, nice person. And I recall he grew up in pretty bleak circumstances.
Yeah, he was a depression baby, and
Yeah,
I've enjoyed some great people, some mentors that did things for me that were not my father. One of them was Ron Foxworthy, and he actually took me hunting, and started me hunting, and I've progressed to bow hunting and spear fishing and all kinds of hunting. But I remember asking my father, I said, "Dad, how come you never took me hunting?" And he looked at me and he said, "Well, when you grow up in the Depression and your mother gives you one shotgun shell and says, 'Please go shoot a rabbit so we can eat dinner tonight,' he goes, there was nothing fun about it." And so he grew up that way. You did it yourself, you envisioned it, you imagined it, and it became a reality. And so I'm so grateful that he taught me that you have to have the vision first. You asked that question early on. You have to have the imagination first before anything can become a reality. But if you think about it enough and you plan about it enough and you work through the details, you can make it reality. And that's the best thing ever.
yeah, that's such a great lesson. I love that. All right, we're gonna go more general leadership question, Kelly. If every leader adopted one principle that you really believe in, what would that principle be that you'd want every leader to have?
Oh, I would say stay calm, don't overreact, and continue to grow who you are. And that'll help grow your people because you have to let them you have to let them experience it and firsthand. You can't do everything. And so you just can't overreact to things that don't go perfect. Just make sure that you're helping those people out and growing yourself. And if you do that, you're gonna have a great people. But surround yourself with great people is step one. And that's what goes back to your question of how much time do you spend looking for people. Yes, yeah, when you can find them.
Yeah. One of the things that we've talked about a little bit here, but in general, Kelly, is the culture at Caldwell Trust Company is really good. And you have people like Cheryl that are just amazing human beings, and Jan and all these other employees that you have that I've gotten to know over the years.
Yep.
With that company culture, you know, it's not sometimes immediately producing results, right? It's not necessarily bringing in clients to have good culture. So what I'm asking is, what behaviors do you celebrate even when they're not moving your bottom line, right? Even when they're not generating revenue Monday through Friday, but what behaviors do your employees do you want to celebrate?
Well, we have some values. We celebrate those values, but the one is, be accountable. You're always trying to do the right thing, and that means do the right thing for your clients, but also means do the right thing for your staff. Um, Treat them like family because we are family, and you spend so much time with these people that work around you that you sure should like them. It makes it a lot easier. So if you have good clients and you have good staff, then you don't dread answering the phone when that client's not when I want to answer. You answer the phone because you love helping them. So they all become family, and if you treat them like family and you treat them the way you want to be treated, that helps a lot. But you cannot you can't stray from your values. They are what they are, and I actually tell people on day one, I may hire you on day one. On day two, I work for you. I have to give you what you need in order to ask you to succeed. But please go take care of the clients. And quite honestly, that's what our trust people, if they've been at big banks a long time, they're like, I can't take care of my clients the way I want to. And so when they come to us, they're like, you're actually going to let me do that? And I'm like, no, that's what I expect you to do.
Right.
And they're actually pretty happy at that point.
Yeah. I love that. So they come to you and you said, "Hey, we hired you to start working here, but now I'm working for you because you have to make these decisions."
Yes. And we all work for the client. And I don't care if you just answered the phone. You happen to be the person answering the phone. If you need the CEO to get on the phone for that client, because in our world, we don't know what's on the other side of that phone call.
Yeah.
You don't know what they're going through, whether it's a death or a family tragedy. We're dealing with that. And if you need that help for that client, you're at the top of the pyramid. Just because you answered the phone, be accountable. So you run the whole company at that point to deliver whatever the service is that client needs. So obviously, everyone should support you, including me. So that's kind of the mentality, which is the client's actually the one who's in charge. We all work for the client, but the person talking to the client is really the person in charge, and we all support that. Um, and that's just the way it has to be because I mean they're your friends, the clients are your friends, and you want to help them. So it's not hard to get in that frame of mind.
Yeah, you've gotten to know these clients. How do you create accountability without creating fear as a leader?
It goes back to letting them fail and not punishing them for them. It's not a straight line. It never goes in a straight line. Even when you think it's gonna, I've worked it out. It's gonna go this way. It doesn't. And so again, as long as you're accountable for what you've done and you understand the error and you figure out how to fix it, you fix it. And even if it's not, we've made mistakes, we're going to make mistakes. But there's a great concept that was taught to me, and it's called the emotional bank account.
The
And we do
emotional
that
bank
with
account.
staff. We do that with staff as well as clients. And it says, you have not only a relationship with a client, but the stronger your relationships, the higher your emotional bank account balance is. And if you do make a mistake, it takes a little hit, it goes down in value, but it doesn't go negative. But if you don't build up the emotional bank account with your clients and your staff, and you do something that's not perfect, and you go overdrafted, that you may lose the client, you may lose the member. So, just remember they're people and they want you help them, and they've got family issues, and you just treat them like family and you'll be fine.
I love that emotional bank account. That's great. That's really, I think that's good for any industry,
Oh
any,
yes.
yeah,
Oh
because,
yeah.
building those relationships. All right, Kelly, last question. We're recording here in summer, so we're about halfway through 2026. What is new and exciting and on the horizon for Caldwell Trust Company that we can look forward to the rest of the year?
This is 1 year anniversary is right now for our Vero Beach office. And it's taken a little while. It'd take about 6, 7 months for that community to actually see us and watch us and earn our entry into that marketplace. But I'm really excited about what's happening there. The client, the community, the attorneys and accountants that we deal with, that's really taking hold. And it's actually jump starting. There are other areas in Florida that now are starting to ask, will we come there? So for us, I don't know how fast we'll go to these other places, but the fact that we did Vero, I think is kind of jump starting it. And then one last thing I think is funny because it kind of ties back to my father is everyone wants to know about AI and how does the industry use AI? And we're very cautious about how to use AI. There's very secure ways to do it, but we have people working on it. But one simple way that we're using it already internally is that internally for our staff, all of our processes and all of our procedures and all of the items that you would ask somebody, hey, we've all put it into our closed model here. So it's just
Right.
our small language model for us. And we put that in there so that our staff can ask our software, hey, how do we do blank? How do we do
Yeah,
this? What's the policy? And they named it Ask Roland. So
love that.
Roland is going to be giving advice forever in our system now. And they even put the little meme caricature of him
That's
together. And so Ask Roland is going to be around for a long time giving advice to our people.
that is so cool. And you said earlier, you're the engineer of the company, or you're an engineer, and you're always, make it better, faster, stronger, more efficient right there. And as you said, Ask Roland gets to live on. That's fantastic. That is such a great tool you guys have. Love it. Excellent. Well, Kelly Caldwell, President and CEO of Caldwell Trust Company, thank you so much for joining us on the From the Corner Office podcast.
Thank you, Mark. You guys are the greatest. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Business Observer From the Corner Office podcast. I'm your host, Mark Gordon. This podcast was produced by Reed Corley of the Corley Company in Sarasota. To hear more episodes of From the Corner Office podcast, go to businessobserverfl.com.